I spent hundreds buying presents for my nieces and nephews, but their mother said I was humiliating for not giving more, so I decided it was time to destroy their lives. Hashtag the rewritten story. What would you do if you spent hundreds of dollars on Christmas gifts for your family, only to be told you were embarrassing for not spending more, and then got banned from Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
That happened to me, and what I did next, it completely destroyed my sister's life. Now she's begging me to stop. Let me take you back to the beginning. Ever since I was little, my parents drilled it into me. When you grow up, you provide for this family. So my dream of making more money was always tied to this fantasy of showering my family with gifts, with love, with everything they could ever want. I studied hard. I worked hard. As a teenager, I was paying over 50% of the rent. And you know what I got in return? Not even a thank you. Deep down, I think I knew something was wrong. But I craved their approval so badly. I just pushed it to the back of my mind. Fast forward. I'm 28 years old. Last Thanksgiving was coming up, and for the first time in years, I was actually feeling good. I had money. I had gifts for everyone. My parents, my sister Emma, her husband Joe, their 3 kids. I even bought extras so the kids wouldn't fight over who got what. Plus more, just in case anyone brought unexpected guests. I convinced myself this was how family was supposed to feel. Then came the bomb drop. I showed up at my parents' house, car loaded with presents. I knocked on the door. My mom answered. I expected a hug, or at least a hello. Instead, she said, "We think it's better if you don't join us this year." I thought she was joking. I actually started to chuckle. But then Emma hollered from the living room, "This isn't a gathering for cheapskates. You've become a real drag lately." I just stood there, dumbfounded. My dad hovered in the background, saying nothing. My mom looked like she wanted the floor to swallow her whole. And Emma? She looked pleased with herself. Confusion, rage, humiliation. My body went through every emotion at once. But I just nodded slowly and said, "All right, if that's how everyone feels." Then I turned around, walked to my car, sat there alone, surrounded by a pile of unwanted gifts. Cheapskate, drag, where was this coming from? An awful gut feeling washed over me. Somehow, Emma was behind this. I just couldn't figure out why. So I did what I always do when I'm confused. I asked myself, if I were my brother-in-law, would I appreciate me? And my head flooded with memories. Helping pay for the kids' extracurricular fees. Chipping in for their vacation fund when money got tight. Covering part of their down payment when they bought their house. The answer was crystal clear. Hell yeah, I'd appreciate me. That's when I let myself get angry. Really angry. Angry enough to march right back up to that front door. They were all still there. My parents whispering like they were surprised I hadn't just driven away. Emma sprawled on the couch, scrolling TikTok with the volume blasting. I walked straight in. What's going on here? Why am I suddenly unwelcome? Emma didn't even look up. You think we haven't noticed you've been slacking? Even the kids know. They've barely gotten anything from you in months. Honestly, I would have preferred a slap to the face. I couldn't help raising my voice. Are you kidding me? I have hundreds of dollars worth of presents for your kids sitting in my car right now. She interrupted. I don't want to hear it. A few years ago when they were born, you did way more. It's honestly embarrassing. I turned to my parents, expecting backup. Some kind of support. Instead, my mom gave me this awkward half-smile. She's got a point, honey. You just leased that new truck. You found money for that. I was speechless. The truck is financed, I said, forcing myself to stay calm. And even if I'd paid cash, how does that make me responsible for Emma's family? They're not even my children. You make twice what Joe does. Emma cut in, lounging back like we were discussing the weather. We're family. Family helps each other. I glanced at Joe, silent, sitting in the corner. So let me get this straight, I said slowly. Because I've been generous in the past, I'm now obligated to keep giving forever? And if I don't, I'm a cheapskate? Emma shrugged. If that's how you want to see it, that was my breaking point. I took a step back, shook my head. You know what? You're right. I don't belong here. I looked at my parents. Enjoy your Thanksgiving. I walked out. Didn't wait for a response. The drive home was tense. My knuckles were white on the steering wheel. Part of me almost wanted to believe I was the villain. Like there was no way I'd been banned from Thanksgiving just because I hadn't given enough. When I got home, I sat in my driveway for a long time, just staring at those gifts I'd spent hours wrapping. They made me feel sick now. The more I thought about it, the clearer everything became. This had been building for years. Thanksgiving was just the breaking point. Emma had always leaned on me financially. When she and Joe first got married, they struggled. Joe bounced between jobs. Emma's part-time work barely covered basics. I stepped in, thinking it would be temporary. A few hundred here, 1,000 there. But temporary turned into years. And in a way, it really was my fault. I made it too easy for Emma to depend on me. Somewhere along the way, I created a monster. That night was my wake-up call. I had a decision to make. And after careful thinking, I realized there was only one solution. No more rescuing Emma and Joe. No more endless gifts to compensate for their financial irresponsibility. I was done. If they wanted their kids to have what I'd been providing, they could figure it out themselves. It wasn't easy. Cutting off my sister meant potentially damaging my relationship with her, her children, and possibly my parents. But I couldn't keep being treated like an ATM instead of a brother and uncle. I didn't reach out. And no one contacted me either. I thought maybe they got the message. I should have known Emma wouldn't let it go that easily. The silence stretched through Christmas. Through New Year's. No calls. No texts. Nothing. For the first time in forever, I spent the holidays completely alone. When the ball dropped at midnight, my phone stayed silent. I won't lie. I thought about calling several times. But every time I picked up my phone, I remembered Emma's smug face. Her words. Asterisk, this isn't a gathering for cheapskates. Asterisk, I'd been their safety net for years. And they treated me like I was disposable. No thanks. By mid-January, things started shifting. Joe had always been the quiet type. Avoided confrontation. But one evening, I got a text out of nowhere. Asterisk, just wanted to say I'm sorry about Thanksgiving. I don't agree with what happened. Emma won't listen to me, but I thought you should know. Asterisk. I stared at my phone for a long time. Part of me appreciated knowing someone in the family recognized injustice. But Joe had sat there silently that night. His apology felt insufficient. I finally replied, Asterisk, thanks for saying that, Joe. But this isn't something I can just brush off. Asterisk. He didn't push further, which was fine by me. Then, in early February, Emma showed up at my apartment. Unannounced. I was in the middle of a video call when I heard aggressive knocking. I tried ignoring it, but it kept going. When I finally answered, there stood Emma. Frazzled. Irritated. We need to talk, she said, pushing past me before I could object. I crossed my arms. What's this about?
She didn't waste time.
You need to stop this childish behavior and start helping out again. I laughed in disbelief. Helping out? You mean financing your life? I told you, I'm done with that. She glared at me. You're the one with money to spare. Do you know how hard it's been for us since you decided to throw this tantrum? The kids barely have what they need. Joe's struggling to keep everything together. We can't manage without your help. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Are you listening to yourself? You're a grown woman, Emma. You have a husband and children. If you need more money, find better jobs. It's not my responsibility to solve your problems. You've always helped before, she snapped. Why are you being so stingy now? Asterisk stingy? Asterisk, I echoed. You want to talk about stingy? Let's talk about how you lied to our parents about me. Turned them against me. Banned me from Thanksgiving because I supposedly wasn't generous enough with your kids. And now you're here asking for more? That takes some serious nerve. She started to interrupt, but I held up my hand. We're done here. I'm not giving you another penny. And I don't want to hear from you again until you learn how to act like an adult. She stood there fuming for a moment, then stormed out. After Emma left, I thought that would be the end of it. She'd sulk, maybe complain to our parents. Eventually realize I wasn't backing down. I was wrong. 2 days later, I got a call from an unknown number. I don't usually answer those, but something told me I should. "Hello, is this Alex?" a woman asked.
Yes.
"Who's calling?" "This is Patricia Wilson. I'm an attorney. I represent a client who's raised concerns about certain financial matters involving your family. Do you have a moment to discuss this?" I froze. "An attorney? What financial matters?" "I can't go into specifics over the phone," she continued, "but it involves financial contributions you've made to your sister Emma and her family, particularly the use of those contributions. Would you be willing to meet at my office?" My mind raced. Had Emma taken out loans in my name? Was she using my information for something illegal? Or was this just another desperate attempt to guilt me into giving her money? "Who's your client?" I asked cautiously. There was a pause. "I'm afraid I can't disclose that right now. But I assure you, you're not being sued. This is more of an informational meeting." Against my better judgment, I agreed to meet. Curiosity got the better of me. I couldn't shake the feeling there was more happening than just Emma being entitled. When I walked into Patricia Wilson's office the next day, she dropped a bombshell almost immediately. "My client is Joe." I blinked in surprise.
Joe?
Why would he need a lawyer? Patricia watched me carefully. "He believes Emma has been misusing the money you've given them over the years. He has evidence suggesting she's been hiding funds from both of you." My stomach dropped. "Hiding money? What do you mean?" She opened a folder, revealing bank statements, receipts, and screenshots of text messages. "Joe suspects Emma has been diverting your financial contributions into a separate account. Based on these records, she appears to be using the money for online shopping sprees and secret spa weekends, rather than family expenses." I stared at the documents in shock. "You're telling me all those times I helped with bills with the kids' needs, that money never went to them?" Patricia nodded grimly. "That seems to be the case. Joe discovered this recently and came to me because he wasn't sure what to do. He was hesitant to involve you initially, but given recent events, he felt you deserved to know." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Emma had been playing me all along, taking money I thought was helping her family and blowing it on herself. I felt angry,
Betrayed.
and completely stupid for not seeing it sooner. "Does Joe have solid proof?" I asked tensely. Patricia nodded and pushed the folder closer. "See for yourself." I flipped through the documents. Transfers from my account to their joint account, matching times I'd helped with emergencies. Then withdrawals to a separate account in Emma's name alone. Transactions from that account showed expensive online shopping,
Spa retreats.
even a weekend getaway with someone named Jen that Joe apparently knew nothing about. "Unbelievable," I muttered, shaking my head. "And Joe just found out?" "He only discovered the separate account recently," Patricia explained. "He had suspicions for some time, but didn't have access to her private banking information until he accidentally opened mail addressed to her. That's when he contacted me." I sat back, trying to process everything. "Does he want me to do something? Press charges?" Patricia shook her head. "Not at this stage. He's more concerned about protecting himself and the children. But he wanted you to know, in case Emma tries to manipulate you further." I laughed bitterly. Well, she already tried. She showed up at my place demanding I start helping again. Patricia nodded knowingly. "That aligns with what Joe told me. It seems Emma is feeling the pressure now that your financial support has stopped. She may be in deeper trouble than Joe realizes." I stared at the folder, thoughts racing. Part of me wanted to confront Emma immediately, but another part knew that would only satisfy her need for attention. "What's Joe planning to do?" I asked. Patricia hesitated. "He's weighing his options. He wants to ensure he and the children are protected, both financially and otherwise. If Emma's behavior escalates, he may file for separation." That hit me harder than expected. Joe had always seemed like the quiet, loyal type who'd stick with Emma through anything. If even he was considering walking away, things must be worse than I imagined. I called Joe that night. Our conversation was awkward at first. but it quickly turned into something deeper. I should have said something that day at your parents', he admitted. I've never been good at standing up to Emma, but that's no excuse. Why now? I asked. Why come forward about the money after all this time? There was a long pause. The kids deserve better than this. I deserve better. And honestly, so do you. After everything you've done for us. Whatever you decide to do next, I told him, you have my support. Thank you, he replied quietly. And I'm truly sorry about Thanksgiving. You didn't deserve any of that. We talked for a while longer, and when we hung up, I felt an unexpected sense of peace. Emma had burned her bridge with me, but Joe and the kids? They weren't my enemies. And if he was brave enough to stand up to her, I wouldn't hold a grudge against him. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling that Emma wasn't done causing trouble. A few weeks later, I received a text from Joe. Asterisk, we're leaving this weekend. Asterisk. I called him immediately. He explained that he and the kids were moving to his parents' place in another state, while Emma was visiting a friend, which I now suspected was code for another shopping spree. He was packing their essential belongings and taking the kids. He didn't want Emma to know where they were going until he had legal protection in place. I just can't keep pretending everything is normal, he said quietly. The kids see more than we think. What about moving expenses? I asked. Getting set up? There was a pause. Then he reluctantly said, I was hoping you might help with that. Just until I get my first paycheck at the new job. I hate asking after everything. Say no more, I interrupted. I've got you covered. Just tell me what you need. I ended up helping Joe and the kids relocate. But for the first time in years, it didn't feel like I was being used. It felt like I was finally supporting something positive. Emma predictably went ballistic when she returned to find them gone. She called me screaming, said I'd turned Joe against her,
Destroyed her family.
I let her rant for about a minute. Then I calmly said, maybe if you spent less time shopping and more time being a mother and wife, this wouldn't have happened. But hey, good luck with that. Then I hung up. Joe is doing well now.
He's found a decent job.
The kids are adjusting to their new school, and he's finally starting to regain his confidence. As for Emma, I hear she's still blaming everyone but herself. My parents finally learned the whole story. They've apologized profusely for taking Emma's side at Thanksgiving. But honestly, I'm just happy to be free of the obligation. Some family relationships are worth saving. Others, they just drain you until there's nothing left. So let me ask you this. Have you ever had a family member who treated you like an ATM? Someone who took and took until you finally snapped? I really want to know, what would you have done in my place? Drop a comment below. I read every single one.